welcome back to the Le Petit Saint Crochet blog. I'm Elise, and today we are going to learn all about how to knit and purl. So last week I went over the cable cast on, which is pretty fundamental to knitting toys, and I'm going to link all of this in the blog post, and that link will be in the description box for those of you watching this on YouTube. But we are going to learn how to knit and purl, and I've got a cute little trick that I learned from Fuzzy Whatnot, so we're going to do that. But first, we're going to make a pit stop. Now, I live in North Carolina, where this is kind of home of NASCAR, home of racing in the U.S., and pit stop is a word we use around here. But we are going to make a little pit stop, especially for those of you who may need a little bit of encouragement. Maybe you feel like you are on the struggle bus with this whole knitting thing and you're struggling. Well, I am here to give you a little bit of encouragement because trust me, I know where you're coming from. Then, once we're finished with those two things, I am going to show you my new yarn reorganization, which I love to organize my yarn, and I really like how I did this one. And last, I am going to show you these adorable tiny little hangers that I got to hang up all the clothes that I'm making for the little cotton rabbits, and where I found them in this little antique mall. So let's get started. So this is for those of you who maybe you are feeling kind of frustrated right now with the whole knitting thing, and I just want to tell you that I so get where you're coming from. I love knitting these toys, but I want to give you the backstory on my knitting journey. So I really began knitting about 15 years ago, and that's when I had small children at home, and there wasn't the availability of things like YouTube and all of these wonderful tutorials that we have now. But I really believe that even if all those things had been available, knitting still would have been a struggle for me, and here's why. My children at that time were 9, 7, 5, and 3. My brain was all over the place at that point. We were kind of in survival mode, and I really did not have the bandwidth. I did not have the mental real estate to really be able to focus on knitting. Now, I made a few things. Jersey actually has a blanket that I made for him. Jersey is our dog, if you don't know, that I made for him back then that we still use. But is it well made? No, it's not. I made a few other things, but they never really were well made. I wasn't proud of them. I was like, I can do it, but it wasn't great. And I'm here to tell you that I really think that it took me until this point in my life, when things have calmed down a little bit, I have the space in my brain, I have the time to concentrate and to think about these things. So I just want to tell those of you out there who really are struggling that, you know what, it's actually okay to give it a break. If you have tried and it's just not clicking for whatever reason right now, don't think that it never will. Just realize that it may be something that will come to you later in the future, but you may be one of those people that you need to push yourself and you need to move on. So just try to figure that out right now. Are you the person that really you need to take a step back? You can admire it for right now, but that you really just don't have the mental capacity to be able to focus on that for whatever reason's going on in your life. Or maybe you need to push yourself a little bit and go, you know what, this is just a learned skill. So I kind of want to be an encouragement for either situation that you're in if you're struggling right now. So I've been there, I've done that, I got the t-shirt. So let's get started learning how to knit and purl. So we are going to go ahead and start with learning how to knit. So I've already done my cable cast on, which if you haven't seen that video, this was from last week and I will link it in the blog post. But that is really the way that we are going to start knitting toys, is with the cable cast on. So, and you can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stitches. And just a reminder that it is always best to have the cable cast on a little bit loose. Tight makes this a very difficult process. So I'm also going to show you how I hold my yarn in my right hand. I'm a right-handed knitter, and I am also an English knitter. So this is how I'm going to show you how to do it, because that's really the only way that I do it. So I always wrap my yarn, this is my working yarn. This is what's attached to my ball here. This is my tail. So always look at that before you start, because that's no fun to realize you're working with your tail. So we're going to get our working yarn. I wrap it around my pinky, and then I wrap it right over my index finger. I'll show you one more time. So I wrap it around and underneath. That's how I like to hold it. So now I'm going to grab my needle here. I like a tighter tension here. I don't want a lot of slack, and if I need to and it's too loose or it's too tight, I just redo it. And that just comes with practice. So I'm going to really identify this first stitch right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm coming from the left-hand side of the needle. I'm just going through the back there, just like that. I'm going to wrap my working yarn around it, and I'm pulling that right needle down. If you can see, I'm pulling it down and taking it through this stitch. So I've got this on the right now. It's very familiar if you did the cable cast on, but what we're going to do instead is we're going to pull this left-hand needle all the way down, and we're going to take that stitch right off of the needle, okay? Then you can kind of, pull it a little bit, not too tight. Pull it just a little bit so that it's not super loose. And then we're going to wrap it around again, come back through. Now we have 2 stitches, and we got to take that stitch off the left-hand needle. So we're going to go back. We're always coming from the left side of that stitch, back through, and that way you can see it right there. Wrap it around, come back, and we're going to take that stitch off. Now, I learned a cute little poem from Fuzzy Whatnots. She's on Instagram, and I really thought that this was fantastic. So I'm going to teach this because I really think that even though it sounds like it's for children, I think these are really great ways, even as adults, to learn things. So it says, in through the front door, round the back, peek through the window, off jumps Jack. I just thought that was really, really a great way to kind of memorize that in through the front door, round the back, peek through the window, off jumps Jack. In through the front door, round the back, peek through the window, off jumps Jack. So remember, it's slow and steady, and we're just going back through, taking that stitch, and you just remember to take it off the left-hand needle, just coming through, wrapping around, and taking that stitch off. Now that we have finished all 10 stitches, and we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 stitches. Perfect. What we're going to do now, that was the knit stitch. Now we are going to purl. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn our needle over. So you may be able to start seeing these are the little purl bumps back here. That's what they're called. You have little purl bumps. We're going to do the same thing, just a little tiny bit different. So I'm going to separate. This is my tail yarn. I'm going to stick it over here. My working yarn is over here to the right. I'm going to put my yarn back in my hand the exact same way. Now purl is just a little bit different. Rather than coming from the left side, we're going to come from the right, and you're keeping your yarn in the front at this point. So we're coming from the right side, and we're coming up right here. We're wrapping from right around this way. We're still taking our right hand needle, and we have our stitch now right here. And we're going to slip that stitch off. And I'm going to tug this just to tighten it up a little bit. So we're going to come from the right hand side, wrap it around, pull it through. So I have that on there, and it comes right off. Now I don't have a cute little poem for this one. I'm sure we could make one up, make it even simpler, but it's basically the same thing. It's just a tiny bit different. We're coming from the opposite way. And what's really most important is you want to keep this yarn in the front for purling. So we're coming from the right, we're wrapping around, we're taking that stitch through here, and we're taking the one on the left off. Again, from there, around, boom, there we go. From left, around, take it through and off. Around, through and off. There we go. So once you kind of have the knitting part down, purling is a little bit simpler, I think. Actually really like to purl. Around, boom, and one last one. And always count, especially when you don't have that many stitches. It's always good to know, ooh, did I do that right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you really should be able to see those purl stitches, those purl bumps. Now you see them right here along this edge. And what you're going to be doing is when you turn it over, and this is the side that you're going to knit, again, you are doing the stockinette stitch. And you're going to see that in almost every little shirt you have, a lot of sweaters, you're going to see that it is the stockinette stitch. That's exactly what this is. This is the front is all knitting stitches. That's what all of this is. You see all of the knit. On the inside of this are the purls. And so it's not that hard. Just keep practicing. And hey, if you've got any questions, ask below. I would be happy to help. I always forget to show before videos of how I had things organized before. But so now I'm just going to have to show you what I did. So these are all of the Debbie Bliss Baby Cashmerino. This is what I'm using to knit the clothes for all the little animals that I'm doing. Now what I have done here is I have added my Barocco Vintage. These are colors that I actually may want to use for the bodies. Now this is a 4-ply. This is only for the clothing. This is actually a worsted weight. And I have this, these are the ones that I have not opened up yet. Maybe you're looking at that thinking, when are you going to use a green or that duck egg blue for any of the colors? Well, I started thinking that I might want to play around with some unusual colors for the animals. I haven't decided yet, but I'm going to keep these here for now. Now what I've done in this one is these are all the Barocco Vintage that I already have open. So really what's really cool about knitting is that it doesn't use nearly as much yarn as the crocheting animals are, the amigurumi. It's really kind of incredible. It's something that I really didn't know before. So now I also have the paint box yarn, which is something that I have used to crochet amigurumi, but I am starting to play around with this a little bit with the knitting too, and I'm knitting a little pig. And it's actually turning out really good. I'm loving how this is. So I just basically went through and took out all the colors that I am never, ever, ever going to use for the body. So these are all the ones that I haven't used yet. They're in their ball bands still. And these are the ones that I already have open and that I have used. So I have all these gorgeous colors. And what I love is having all of these. These are the only ones that I'm really using. Now, I didn't get rid of my other yarn. I just stored it away. These are easy access. These are the things that I want to be able to grab quickly. And I love, love, love how it turned out. I am here at my favorite place, the Depot, and I found this little booth that has a bunch of, they just have little weird little doll things, and with my husband over there. And so we're looking, and I thought, you know what? I have a good feeling about this. And I found some little vintage hangers. There's some kind of Peggy Ann vintage doll clothes hangers. How cute! Because now my little cut rabbits have some clothes, they need some hangers. Once I got these little hangers home, I had to put the little cardigan on right away. I just thought, how cute. I have been really looking for little hangers, and these are called Peggy Ann vintage doll clothes hangers. I got a set of 5 of them. They were $6.50, and I was so happy to get them. But I'm gonna be on the lookout for little doll clothes hangers and things like this because I just think they're so cute. And I also am now on the hunt for little doll suitcases, and I just think these are so fun to go with all the little knitted animals, and I will keep you updated when I find things. Thank you so much for stopping by the Les Petites Saints Crochet blog today. I'm gonna leave links for everything in the blog post, and if you are on YouTube, I will leave a link for that blog post. But I would love to thank you for stopping by. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I would love it if you would like this video, if you would subscribe, and I will see you all next week.